I hope everyone's prepared for Camelot. Soberoni of G&A Reviews here with a servant spotlight for the round table's best dad, Lancelot. We'll be examining his stats and skills, as well as going over pointers on how to utilize him effectively, and an overall grade comparing him to how he stacks up to the other 4-star servants. I also have a spotlight out for the other Camelot servants, Ozymandias and Nitocris, so do check those out right after this, but for now, on to Lancelot's stats. Lancelot has a max HP of 11,589, which is average for a 4-star Saber and overall above average when compared to the other 4-star servants. His max attack of 9,949 ranks high among the 4-star Sabers and well above average overall for other 4-star servants. Taking a look at his skills, his first skill is Knight of the Lake rank A, which increases his Noble Phantasm gauge by 30% and also grants between 10 to 20 crit stars depending on level. His second skill is Eternal Arms Mastery rank A+, which increases his critical star gather rate for 3 turns between 3,000 to 6,000% depending on level. His final skill is Knight of Owner rank A, which grants him between 5 to 15 crit stars per turn for 3 turns and increases his crit strength for 3 turns between 30 to 50%, both depending on level. His passives are Magic Resistance rank B, which increases debuff resist by 17.5%, and Riding rank B, which increases quick card effectiveness by 8%. Moving on to his deck and Noble Phantasm, Lancelot has an Arts Buster deck with Quick Arts Buster Buster and an Arts Noble Phantasm. His Noble Phantasm is Erendite Overload, which increases Arts card effectiveness for 1 turn by 30% and deals significant damage to a single enemy with between a 900 and 1500% damage modifier depending on level, and also increases damage received by that enemy between 1000 and 3000 for 5 turns depending on overcharge. Taking a closer look at his cards, we see that his quick card hits 3 times, his arts hits twice, his buster hits 4 times, and his extra attack hits 5 times. His Noble Phantasm gain rate is 0.83%, and his star rate is 10%. Very good Noble Phantasm gain due to the double arts and high hit counts, and his non-buff star gen is also slightly above average thanks to his high hit counts. Saberlot is an art saber with very good stats and absurd DPS. The name of the game for Lancelot is consistency. He is one of the most consistent crit servants in the game. Whereas most crit servants rely on a star generator, Lancelot is a completely self-sufficient crit generating machine, thanks in large part to the synergy between his skills. His first skill, Knight of the Lake, is a star bomb combined with a respectable 30% Noble Phantasm charge. This skill is vital for setting up your Noble Phantasm combo, spamming your Noble Phantasm, and of course, getting a large chance to crit whenever you need it, making this skill pretty versatile. This synergizes perfectly with his second skill, Eternal Arms Mastery. Eternal Arms Mastery gives such a large boost to Saberlot's star weight that even at rank 1, it almost guarantees all the crit stars generated are going towards him. And because this is a 3-turn buff with a 5-turn cooldown, you can have this active for the majority of a battle, thus giving Lancelot a really high level of consistency and sustained damage with his crits. And finally, what's a crit servant without a crit buff? So Knight of Owner gives Lancelot a strong 50% crit damage buff, making his crit damage extremely potent to the point where they can even overpower his Noble Phantasm's damage. But on top of that, it also grants Lancelot an improved 20-30 effect on demand, generating 15 crit stars per turn for 3 turns, and this is what makes Lancelot a crit star generating machine. Because of these 3 skills, Lancelot has the means to generate crit stars consistently and in high quantities. He can reliably gather those stars, and he can further buff his own crit damage. So obviously he's incredibly self-sufficient, and he has an amazing skill set. I highly recommend leveling Knight of Owner first, as that's your main source of damage and star generating, followed by Knight of the Lake for more star generating and Noble Phantasm spam, and then finally Eternal Arms Mastery, because even at rank 1, it is more than enough. Lancelot's Noble Phantasm also packs a strong punch as a single target Noble Phantasm with an arts buff built in. It also has the effect of increasing damage the enemy receives from all attacks, which can add up significantly. Because of the arts buff and his naturally good Noble Phantasm gain, Lancelot can actually Noble Phantasm multiple times in a row. A Noble Phantasm Arts Brave Chain will fill your Noble Phantasm back up to full if you manage to crit on those arts cards, something very easy to do with Lancelot. and that enables a lot of Noble Phantasm spamming shenanigans. And because he's an Arch Servant, there's a lot of support to further enable his Noble Phantasm gain. As an offensive Arch Servant, Lancelot is one of the best in the game. No one can really match his consistently high levels of damage, and he requires very little setup to do it. However, do keep in mind that he does suffer from two major weaknesses. The first is slightly longer cooldowns. The 6-turn cooldown on Knight of the Lake and Knight of Owner do limit his crit engine, if only slightly. But more importantly, in exchange for his heavy offensive focus, Lancelot has no defensive skills, making him very vulnerable to enemies. He will need a healer or defensive support to keep him standing during longer, more challenging fights. Thankfully, Lancelot's an Arch Servant, and if there's anything that Arch supports excel at, it's keeping everyone alive. So Tamamo, Jean, Media Lily, Irisfield, Mosh, Nero Bride, Hans, and Waver are perfect teammates for Lancelot. Tamamo in particular can provide Lancelot with heals, cooldown reduction, and an arts buff, while Hans and Waver can provide even more crit damage buffs. Mozart, Caesar, Shuten, and Helena are also good choices for extra damage buffs. And even though he doesn't really require a crit star generator, they do still help a lot, so go for crit star generators with an arts deck like Shiki or Emiya Assassin to just make him a bit more consistent. His Bondcraft Essence, Lady of the Lake, grants a 10% Noble Phantasm gain and crit strength buff to all allies. It's a good craft essence as it gives you the two things you need the most, and most arts allies appreciate a Noble Phantasm gain buff. But the most effective craft essence on Lancelot is Another Ending, as it buffs both crit damage and arts. You can also use Gudao or Gem Magecraft for similar buffs, and if you want more consistency from your star generating, it isn't a bad idea to just give him 2030, Fox Night Stream, Go West, or especially Lunar Hot Springs, as they all have great synergy with his kit. Formal Craft and Faithful Companions are good choices as well, if you want more damage and NP gain over crit buffs. Overall, Saber Lancelot is one of the best crit servants in the game and a major offensive threat. His damage can be very high and consistent thanks to his self-sufficient crit engine of a skill set. He's one of the most hard-hitting arch servants in the game, and in pretty much any arch team he will have enough sustain and damage to carry any fight. He does have a severe weakness in his lack of survivability though, so keep that in mind when you're pairing him with his teammates, and in my opinion that's the one thing holding him back from being truly game-breaking, so he gets a much deserved A+ from me. Arguably the best 4-star Saber we're gonna get, but definitely the best offensive one, and a top tier 4-star overall. If you need a strong Saber or offensive arch servant to build a team around, look no further. And those are my thoughts on Saberlot, an absolute beast of a servant that is as strong as Lancelot should be. But let me know what you think in the comments below, and please check out the Nitocris and Ozymandias spotlights, both linked on screen right now and in the description below. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. Join the party over at our Discord, chill with us on Twitch, and follow us on Twitter. And I'll see you all in the next Servant Spotlight. So we're only out. Later.